So I just got back from a 6-hour road trip in the Western Star there to go pick up my new project because, you know, projects are exactly what I need more of. This is, there's a little ledge there I stepped in. This is a tandem axle set out of a van trailer. This is like the sliding tandem axles. You could see it was a UPS trailer that someone took the body off of and set on the ground to make storage and then sold off the axles. It was a, well, I guess I'm making a flat top dolly, so I'll explain that here in a sec. But this was another score of a marketplace deal that I couldn't pass up, and it's going to work really, really well for what I want to do. It's actually a lot of marketplace deals around here. This, that rollback, the Blazer, the Hagland over there, that backhoe, that trailer there, that dump trailer, that pickup, that horse trailer, not rusty. What else? I feel like there's more. Oh, my old car. All three of those trailers were government auctions. That school bus, if I didn't say that school bus. Yeah, there's a lot of Facebook Marketplace going on around here. Either way, way too good to pass up. I didn't film any of the trip going to get it because sometimes it's just really nice to go for a drive and do your thing in the truck without, you know, having to worry about stopping and doing the filming and the YouTube thing and all that. Just a nice relaxing day, except for these are kind of out in the middle of nowhere. There's one store out there. It's like perfect. It'll be lunchtime after I get these picked up. I'll run over there, give me some lunch, be great. Guess what? No lunch. Actually, they had lunch. That was the worst part. They teased me. Had lunch sitting right there. Cash only. I brought a bunch of cash by spending it all on this. So I had no cash by the time I got to the store. So I couldn't have lunch even though I could see it. I could smell it. Almost taste it. And yeah, that didn't work out. So I just drove all the way back and then ate food when I got here. Either way, tandem axle dolly. I got my light bar on the back here. Just scooped it up in the wheel grids off the Zacklift. Made towing it just dead simple. Throw some safety chains on. They even took it apart the nice way and actually undid the fittings. They did cut the power wire to the ABS system, but that doesn't matter. The air fitting's still intact. They didn't cut the air hoses. That's all good. I'll explain why when we get into this. Ooh, hold up. We're gonna make this a sponsored video because I just realized one of the brands I work with would have been a perfect solution to that problem. So hold on. Rusty, I got an idea. You want to do a sponsor video? Let's do it. Let's pay for this trip. Come on. So, say you're someone like me who is out and about, has busy days, not quite sure where you're going to be and what you're going to do for lunch that day. Factor's got you covered. Come on, bud. Let's show them. Let's go. Come on. All you do is you come in, you grab you a nice fresh Factor out of the fridge. I should probably put it right side up. You can even grab you a juice or a shake if you want to. We're just going to get this for now. Then you head on over to your microwave where Factor's dietitian approved, gourmet chef crafted, fresh, never frozen ingredient meals give you everything you need to keep you good and going throughout the day. Many of you know my Western Star. It's got a kitchen in the headache rack. We got a microwave and the EcoFlow here and a Yankum rope because everybody needs a Yankum rope in their kitchen. So all you got to do is get your microwave open, get the pool noodle that stops the plate from breaking out. Set back up. These are extra steps I'm betting you're going to have to do. Come on. Two minutes. That's all it takes. Now if you're wondering why I work with Factor, I've got these Factors in my fridge, but I didn't have any in my truck when I was going on a long distance trip where it would make so much sense. It's because I personally don't use Factor. And there's a couple reasons why. It's actually one really big reason. This is one of the very rare cases where I will promote something to you that I won't use myself. But the reason why is kind of ironic. It's actually because Factor is a little too healthy for me, and when that's done here in just 45 more seconds, I'll show you why. Get me a fork here while we're waiting. So this here is a Parmesan artichoke shredded chicken casserole. It's got scallion chive, butter sauce, and Parmesan broccoli. 90% of what I just said right there is the reason I myself don't use Factor. But it's also the reason a lot of you should, or might want to. 2 minutes are up. Let's pull it out of here. It's hot. Ow! Now if you look here, you've got a nice fresh meal. Give it a little stir, everything all nice and good. Got you your fresh broccoli all nice and warmed up. But what do you see here? Lots of stuff that I myself can't eat, and that's the problem. You see, I have a lot of medical problems and am missing most of my digestive system. I don't have a large intestine at all. I have an ostomy bag, and by not having a good part of my digestive system, my body has a really hard time processing and digesting a lot of those tougher, harder to digest foods, like broccolis, artichokes. Granted, these are kind of small enough they'd probably be okay, but I don't want to risk it because when you have an ostomy, a blockage is a very dangerous thing. It's a really bad trip to the hospital and emergency surgery and stuff like that that you don't want to do. So that leaves me out of this meal to basically be able to eat the chicken. Now, when I first started getting to work with Factor, before they sent me any of these meals, I thought like, oh, the meat's the part they're going to skimp on. They're going to load it with veggies because that's much cheaper to produce. So I'm going to get, what, 2 bites out of the meal? Totally worthless. But there's actually a lot of meat in these things and some nice big healthy chunks. So I can take this meal, get what I need to keep me going, give me a nice little fill up for the day. But the problem is, if all I eat is a chicken, I've got half this food I just wasted, and I really don't like wasting food. So I myself don't personally use Factor. My wife, on the other hand, absolutely loves it. She loves the taste, she loves the quality, she loves what they get in the meal, and she loves how easy it is. See, she's a meal prepper. She likes to prep all her meals for the whole week on a Sunday, and that means all Sunday evening she is prepping food. She's cooking, she's got dishes going, she's spending time, she's doing all this stuff. And when we started dealing with Factor and getting a whole week's of stuff shipped in for her, she realized, like, this just gave me my Sundays back. No more Sunday evening prep days. I can actually enjoy the weekend, enjoy time with our daughter, enjoy time with the family. It gave us time, and time is one of the most valuable things of all. Now, every week Factor's got 35 different meal options, including Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, and Vegan and Veggie. They also have some breakfast options, some snacks, lunch on the go, and even some beverages. Now, like I said, my wife is a planner. She likes to set up all her meals, her whole schedule for the week, plan everything out, and have it all ready to go. Me, on the other hand, especially owning a tow company, there's no such thing as a schedule. I never know what's going on from week to week. Luckily, Factor's flexible. You can order anywhere from 4 to 18 meals a week, and you can even pause those deliveries, restart them, or reschedule at any time. So skip the hassle of planning, prepping, preparing, and packaging your meals. When you just grab you some Factor, savor the good stuff. It has everything a healthy body needs to get through the day. I mean, if I had a healthy body, it'd be a whole different story, but I don't. So I leave these for my wife. She really likes them. I think you guys will too. Head on over to factor75.com or click on the link below right here and use the code CaseyLiddell50 to get 50% off your first order and 20% off your following month's order. That's factor75.com or the link down below in the description and the pinned comment. Use the code CaseyLiddell50, which is 50% off your first order and 20% off your following month's orders. Go check it out. I think you'll like it. It's actually good stuff. I'm gonna fall on my face. Stupid dolly. You know how mad I would have been. It also would have been hilarious if I'd have just totally face planted right here in the middle of a sponsored pitch. Either way, Factor, check them out. We really appreciate them supporting this channel, paying for some fuel on this long trip I just took, and making it so we can do some more cool stuff. Thank you, Factor. Thank you guys for watching. Now, back to the dolly. What'd you think of that, Rusty? You think I did a good job? Yeah, you approve? Rusty approves. Okay, so what is a flat top dolly and how am I going to turn this into one? And also, why was this specific axle set so appealing that I drove 6 hours for it? Well, in the towing world, there's many different types of dollies used for towing. There's those dollies right there on the back of that little wrecker that you put under the back wheels of a vehicle or an all-wheel drive car, something like that, to tow it down the road without spinning the transmission and hurting things. Those are called wheel dollies. Then there's dollies in the heavy world, and a lot of them are fifth wheel dollies where you use a single axle converter dolly. And first, I should explain the reason for, which will help you understand the why and the what. So right here we have my US Navy trailer that I bought in a government auction. It's a trailer, truck hooks up on that end, axles are on this end, it goes down the road. Now what happens if these axles, suspension, any of that stuff gets damaged in an accident? The guy shorts a turn, hits the ditch, knocks those back. or a wheel bearing goes out, suspension breaks, something like that, how do you then tow a loaded trailer down the road? Well, that is where either a fifth wheel dolly or a flat top dolly come in handy. I'm going to build a flat top dolly because it's a little more versatile. So what we do right here is a kingpin. You take the truck, you move it out of the way. You put your dolly in and you lock it into the kingpin or drop it down onto the flat top dolly, strap it down, do whatever you got to do there. Chain the dolly straight to the landing gear. Now you have your own good set of axles under the front of the trailer. Then you take that handy dandy Zacklift there and you go around to the back of the trailer. You grab this trailer from the back end either by chain sling or forks off what's left of the axles depending on how the damage is right there. And you pick the back end up. You have your own axles under there, and you now tow the trailer down the road backwards with these axles in the air and completely irrelevant no matter what kind of damage they have. You could do the same thing with this low bed trailer right here by putting an axle or a fifth wheel dolly, flat top dolly, whatever, into the front of it, pick it up from the back and tow it down the road backwards. I will insert a clip right here of when we did that with the rollback at Jesse Bound's place when a truck went down the wrong route, got screwed up in there with a set of doubles, and I had to pick up the back of the trailer, chain his dolly straight, and tow his trailer, fully loaded trailer, out of there backwards to get it out. It was quite the hefty haul for the rollback, but it got it done. Those front tires are barely even on the ground. Actually, I'll link that whole video here at the end of this one. So if you watch to the end, the thing will pop up with that video, so you can watch that one if you haven't seen it. But even if you have, go check out 104coaching.com. Speaking of Jesse Bounds, he's got a big event coming up that I will be speaking at. It is Castle up in Culver, and if you're a business owner, business manager, I think you might want to check it out. Now, how am I going to turn this into a flat top dolly? Well, what I'm going to do here, we're not going to do it today, obviously, because I just did a big old road trip. But we are going to take a 1/4-inch steel plate and put across this whole section right here. Now we might even put a couple more braces across here. This bar is going to go away and gone. That 1/4-inch steel plate right here will have a hole in it big enough for a kingpin to fit in. Right here will have a hole in it big enough for a kingpin to fit in. And same thing about halfway up there. So it'll have 3 different spots that the kingpin of a trailer can drop into. Of course, depending on what type of trailer you're pulling. Now, there's not going to be like a fifth wheel lock or anything that grabs the pin in there. It's just going to drop into a hole. That hole will be reinforced on all the way around sides, all the way around. So it's a round hole, so you can't reinforce it on all 4 sides. It'll just be reinforced. Anyway, you don't need like a fifth wheel to lock it in place, because on the ends here, I am going to notch this out right here, 4 inches down, and then all the way back out. I'm going to put a piece of big 4x4 steel square tube, 1/4-inch wall most likely, that comes out to about here all the way across. We're going to do the same thing up here on the front, notch this out, set that 4x4 tube in there. That's going to be a rail all the way across on both ends. Now I'm going to need you to use your imagination here because it doesn't exist yet. But now imagine that 4x4 square tube coming out just almost to the end of the tires there, and then sleeved into it with a slightly smaller square tube is the piece that comes out and goes up like a set of logging bunks out on the side, like that. Now obviously they have to be wide enough to go around a full 102-inch wide trailer, but the legal limit is 102 inches. So that's why they're going to sleeve in on a smaller piece of tubing, so that when they're collapsed and pinned in place, this thing is 102 inches wide out at the end of those bunks. Then you pull the pins, you slide it out another 6 inches on each side, and now those stakes sit out here like that, and the front of a trailer can sit right between them. On the outside of those stakes, there's strap winch ratchets, just like what those are right there holding the tire down. Those straps go up over the trailer, hook into the other side. It's like that on the back and the front, and you now have the trailer locked in place right here. I told you you're gonna have to use your imagination. Now once that trailer over there is locked down on here, and that kingpin is through the hole right there, and those stakes are on the side of it where it can't turn or wiggle, and the straps are over the top holding it down where it can't bounce out of there, These are as good as locked into that as they are when they're underneath the slider of a back of a trailer where they normally run down the road. Long way of saying, no difference whether that trailer goes backwards or forwards. Now I know what you're saying, Casey, why don't you just get a fifth wheel dolly? Like even a single axle or tandem axle converter dolly with the fifth wheel on top, it locks right in. You chain it straight, because what we'll also do is on those bars right here, we're going to weld some D-rings and all that so that you can cross chain and chain the dolly straight under a trailer using either the holes in the bottom or the landing gear right there so it can't twist and turn. That'd be a lot easier just to buy a ready-made fifth wheel dolly than one with all these stakes and putting plates in and building all this stuff. Of course it would. But since when have I ever done things the easy way? No, we're gonna make this more complicated because it also will make this more versatile. By having it be a flat top dolly instead of a fifth wheel dolly with a fifth wheel right there, it gives us another, well, three other really good options. Let's say this dang old trailer's loaded all up and it just buckles right in the middle. Caves in, breaks right here, buckles down. Then how do you tow this thing out of there? Now that is normally a lot more common with a van style trailer because they have absolutely no chassis or frame to them. Just the fact that their square box is what gives them their structure. You tear a hole in the side of the trailer, something like that, those things just collapse and fall right down. That is where a flat top dolly gives you much more versatility than a fifth wheel dolly. Because by being that big flat platform there, you can take some wreckers, reach over, lift the center of that trailer back up with some big recovery straps, slide that dolly in underneath, set back down on it, and with those stakes up on each side, strapping it over to hold it down, you now have a big platform with a set of axles under it right here in the middle of the trailer. You leave those ones there doing their thing, rolling on the ground. You got the trailer supported right here in the middle. Then you can hook onto the front of the trailer and tow it away. Now, have I ever got called to do that exact scenario? No, never, not even once. But now that I'm building the perfect tool to be able to do that, I'll for sure never get called to do it. We're going to take a walk over to here to show you the second option it will give us. Then I'll have to use some old pictures of mine from previous stuff I did to show you the third, and then I'll show you why that particular axle set was so appealing. This is not a sea container, but it kind of looks like one, so we're going to pretend that it is. Now say I got to move a 40-foot sea container. 40-foot sea container won't fit on my rollback. 40-foot sea container won't legally fit on my low bed because sea containers have special transport rules where they can't have more than 5 feet of overhang. Now with the dolly, you can put the dolly at the back, there isn't more than 5 feet overhang. It's technically legal. So I could pick up a 40-foot sea container by one end with my Zacklift, put the dolly under it, has those side bunks on it, goes over the top, straps it down. She's locked in place. Then I take the Zacklift around the other end, chain sling the other end, and I just turn the sea container into a trailer and I can tow it down the road. Now granted, you can only technically legally do that with empty containers, but if you're moving containers, that type of thing, they're supposed to be empty anyway. Now the third option, there's probably really many more, but the third main one, and doesn't that thing look so cool? But the third option is moving bridges or beams, and that was something I used to do a whole lot of back home in Northern California. I really liked doing bunk and dolly work, moving bridge beams, long beams up into the woods, stuff like that, where we used to dolly underneath the back of the bridge. I had a radio control steerable dolly that, ironically enough, I bought from a company about 20-30 minutes down the road right here, just out to the northeast of me here, and hauled all the way back to California, rebuilt, turned it into a radio control steerable dolly, and used it for moving a lot of bridges and beams and cool stuff like that. I don't know why I walked over here and pointed. Oh, pretend this is a bridge deck or a big bridge beam. Well, you pick up one end, you put it on your dolly, you pick up the other end with the Zacklift or with the bunk plate in the back of the truck, and you can tow it down the road like that no matter how long it is. Say this thing is an 80-foot long bridge beam, you can put your axles all the way at the back there. You can put a bunk plate in the fifth wheel of the truck or use the Zacklift to hold up the front, and you can carry it down the road. I'm sure there's plenty of other examples of bunk and dolly work and long load stuff you can do with the type of dolly I want to build, but we're going to skip that for now and get into why this particular one was so appealing. One, this was a UPS dolly, so it's in incredibly good shape. All the bushings are good. Like I said, it's got great tires on it. Hubs are good. Look at the brakes on this thing. They are great. And one really cool thing about this one is it has the new style of air pots with the captive caging bolt, and that is going to come in really handy for me. Let me show you here a standard caging bolt and how it works. I keep a whole pile of them right here for the just in case. By the way, this box holding up amazingly well. Very happy with it. This is a caging bolt, and where's an air pod? Hold on, I know where there's a good visible one we can go see. So back to our, oh, son of a, I hit that. Okay, so this is a spring brake pot. So when there's no air in the trailer, the lines are busted, ripped off, or just doesn't have any air, there's a giant spring in here that has got the brakes locked up. So this thing ain't gonna move. So what you do is you pop your cap out here, you take your caging bolt, you put it in. I don't think you're gonna be able to see, you cannot, but in there, there's a slotted piece that kind of matches that, and you'll stick it in, turn it 90 degrees, and it locks in place. So you gotta put it in there, feel it, yep, turn it 90 degrees, see it can't come out. Then you put your washer down, thread your bolt in, like that. You go get you an impact gun with a caging bolt socket, which is a special socket that's super deep so that this bolt can run way out into it. Or you get really manly with a 3/4 inch wrench on that nut right there. And you tighten that down, it pulls this bolt all the way out there, which compresses that spring in there and releases the brakes. That is how you cage brakes on a spring brake system. Put that back there before I forget. And right here is my caging bolt socket. You can see how long the thing is so that that whole bolt can come way up in here and allow that spring to release. But instead what we're gonna do to show you how these ones work, we're gonna grab us a 3/4. We're gonna grab us our impact gun. So we come over here to our captive caging bolt. I'm not sure that's what it's called, but it is. There's actually, here it is. Uncaged, park okay. Uncaged means the brakes actually work. If the other half of that was here, it would say caged, park released. Actually, there is a little symbol right there. So with these ones, the bolt is permanently affixed to it. There's no going and getting anything. All you do, take your wrench or your impact gun, put it on there. And now the brakes are set and active just like they would be when you're going down the road. See these brakes right here just locked? You want to release the brakes, you just stick this on here. And your brakes are released. That easy. No going and getting a caging bolt, no going and threading it in there and trying to get into the spot and all that stuff. Just grab you a 3/4 socket on an impact gun, brakes on, brakes off. Now the reason that quick and easiness to do that is so important is in the recovery world, a lot of times to get something clear off the road or things like that, we're not spending the time to plumb air to a whole setup to get brakes. We are just trying to get things off the road, or then we prep to tow and spend all our time over there so that you guys can get back to traveling where you got to go. So towing it down the road like this, brakes are caged, released. The other thing is to position it under a trailer or something like that. It's really nice to be able to set it down and just by hand push it in there without having to have air plumb to it and all of that. So those air pots right there, being able to just set and release nice and easy, gonna make things way faster. But if I do want to run air to it, or then we're gonna do our long distance tow out of there, we're up on the mountain coming down with something heavy. They took the airlines apart real nice and neat. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna screw on some quick couplers to those right there. And then on the back of my Zacklift here, I've got service air and brake air right here. You can just pull these out, plug them into the quick couplers on those airlines, and there's 50 feet of line there, so it'll go all the way back, no problem. I've got a bunch more line if I need, and then I've got brakes on what I'm towing. The other reason that this set was so handy is it's a leaf spring set, and it's getting harder and harder to find leaf spring axle sets because so many of them now are air ride. Well, for that same reason I just explained with the brakes, we don't want air ride. I want leaf springs so that I don't have to hook air to this thing to raise the suspension and have it how it's supposed to be to go down the road. So finding one with leaf springs, definitely the way to go. The other thing is this thing is in great shape. A lot of times these are taken out of the trailers because they got damaged. In this case, someone used a perfectly good trailer for a storage and they had a perfectly good axle set. I don't have to do anything to this other than screw some quick couplers on the front of that as far as like the mechanics of it. Wheel bearings are good, brakes are good, suspension is good, air lines are good, air tank is there, all the air valves are there. Everything as far as this deal running and using up and down the road is ready to go. I don't have to touch it. That means that part of the whole project doesn't exist. Now, for the only kind of problem is, I just nosed this thing in here because it had been a long day, and I just pulled in here. We got to back this over there to park it for now, or maybe I should back it down to the shop so I could actually get started on it. But either way, because of the way we have this is an incredibly short trailer behind a very long truck, which makes backing it up a total pain. So we're gonna cheat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lower this down. I'm gonna pull it all the way in. Actually, I'll lower it all the way down. Then I'm going to set the brakes. Done. See how easy that is? Now, let's see if this part works. I'm not sure, I haven't done this yet, but that axle's brakes are set and those wheels are strapped in place. So if we tilt up, it worked. We just picked that whole thing right up off the ground, and now we can go put it wherever we want. Alright, let's get this thing set down right here in front of my track trailer and the pile of brush that someone is supposed to haul away here soon. Jeremy, if you're watching this, I'm talking to you. So, I guess we should pull safety chains off first. Pop you out of here. Put you back in your home. To the other side. Yeah, this would be a cool tool that allowed me to do a lot of different things. I really enjoyed doing the bridge hauling with the bunk and dolly setup. That was something I really like to do because it's very different, it's a challenge, and it's just fun. So, before we extend out, remember, once we extend out, that plate on the bottom isn't holding that T-bar straight anymore. So we're gonna tilt down, then extend out, because now gravity is holding it that way. If we're tilted up, gravity wants to fall off either way. That's my thoughts anyway. So we'll run this out here. See, the back axle still has the brakes released, but the front is locked back up. So when we set it down here, the front will hold this thing in place and the back will be able to free roll. Kind of like our parking brake. Alright, no, why am I setting it down? Let's put it like we're towing it. Oh, getting wild with the remote. Getting wild. Okay. We gotta unhook it first. So we grab our bar and we'll simply release our lock. Pull that off. Pull this out of its slot there. And we can wind this up. Now, in my video about the dollies, a lot of people are concerned that since this tube sleeves over this bar, you have to have this position with the tire before you push it up against the tire. Otherwise you can't move it. And the main kind of comment I heard was, well, if that thing's pinched between the tire and the bar, you won't be able to slide it. Correct. But also, if it's pinched between the tire and the bar, it's exactly where it needs to be and you don't need to slide it. But yes, you do have to have this where you want it before you push it into the tire. The two reasons that doesn't matter is, number one, you have to set the width on all of this whole setup before you push it into the tire anyway with any wheel grid. So to have this be part of what you're moving and lining up to begin with, it's really, I've used these things 4 or 5 times now, and it's not an issue. It seems very natural to line that up since you're already lining everything else up at the same time. Also, notice this tab right here to hook these onto and have a place to hook that. That's just another one of those little things that, as a guy who uses them, is just like, that little thought right there, just having somewhere to hook it and keep it. On the other ones, I have to like wrap it around something or hook it on the scoop or something like that. So, like I said, it's the little things. Come over here, we'll do the same thing. And we'll pop this out of here. And then we'll wind them up. There we go. I'll put my remote over here. I guess throwing that was unnecessary since I had to walk over here anyway. So now we will set this down. And we're going to tilt up to just kind of level everything out. And we give her a little bump out to loosen it up. That's the other thing, is when you're doing this, even when the tires are in it and where it's going to grab, you're still doing stuff with your remote. And look, it's still in the position it's going to grab the tires, and I can move this enough to position that if I needed to. Now we loosen up our pin. Slide that out. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Now we can retract this out. And up it goes. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to take my scoops, I'm going to put them on here, and I'm going to slide them all the way down here. And we're locked. Scoop number 2. Locked. Now we can fold this up. And the handy thing is, if you're into playing football, you can practice your field goals while you're waiting for the next call to come in. Done. No, we're not. There's supposed to be something right here. At least if I forgot the light bar, I forgot it in my own yard and not on a truck that I dropped off at a dealership in who knows what state. This Western Star and Zacklift in the last 3 weeks has been in, let me do the math, 7 states. in the last 3 weeks. I have been doing some traveling, like work traveling, not the fun traveling. Well, I do enjoy work traveling, so I guess that's fun too. And to be fair, she won one of those states, Montana. The only reason I was in Montana was for fun. So, well, that's work too. No, that's a recovery rig. So that's work too. All work related, 7 states, 3 weeks. Long haul truckers are laughing at me right now, but that's okay.